Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the PCS English broadcast and to the 2022 Spring Split here for week number 2, day number 2. My name's Hysterics, joined on the PCS for the first time here with Clement Chu. You, sir, and I were on the LPL for many years together. It is good to finally see you. We never chat anymore.
I know, it's been such a while, and I'm so happy that the PCS is finally expanding to our 5th language. We now do broadcasts in Australian too.
We do, man. It's hard to understand, but we'll walk you through it at the start of the way. And also to start off the broadcast, guys, remember PCS 2022 is sponsored by CDBC Bank and Caliber. Before the match starts, we also want to thank the organizer, Right Games, Carry Live Co, and Garena for the PCS League operation and full production. But now that we've gone through that, I want to give you a bit of a heads up that I'm going to be joining the broadcast a little bit this split and going along the way with what I think, Clement, is one of the craziest leagues in the world. And I work for the LPL. And I've been watching the PCS, and your drafts have been absolutely insane, dude. I'm seeing Bard with Smite roaming across the map. I'm seeing Heimerdinger bot as a response to Caitlyn Lux. Like, you guys are everywhere.
Well, there's definitely a lot of things that are kind of out there in the PCS, and I love this split because everything feels so close. You know, this split is very different from our previous splits where there were really clear winners and like PSG and Beyond Gaming just crunching down on everyone else. This time around, we have 5 teams that are very close in their competition, and they all bring these really unique and different styles to the table as well.
They really do. And, you know, let's go over yesterday and what I missed out on here, because for the start of week number 2, we started getting CDBC Flying Oyster cementing themselves at the top, 2 big wins, and Sem9 Clement debuting after they were out in the first week.
Yeah, and so far Blue Side has still been completely dominant. Only 3 games have been won by Red Side in 18 different tries. So that's a number we're going to have to track. And for yesterday games, I think to our surprise, the closest one was actually Impunity versus CFO. We're going to see today if Impunity can finally grab a win after sitting at the bottom of the roster, despite having some very close games.
It was a really good sign of life, though. I'm glad you bring up Impunity to start us off. They are 0-4 sitting down with Hurricane Gaming, but Impunity showed that early game pressure against CDBC Flying Oyster. Really good dive towards that top side. And it shows that, you know, maybe the goal's complete. Maybe these top teams as well can drop a couple of the games coming through. Because here today, we're starting to see that balance build out. Clement, the bridges getting harder and harder, as well as 3 teams sitting firmly down towards the bottom. And our mid gap is kind of closing out a bit with teams like PSG, Talon, Deep Cross Gaming, Flying Oyster as well, rising to the top in the PCS. And today we're going to get a bit more semblance of that as we look at today's matchup, speaking of.
Yeah, today I think there's a couple of big highlight matches. Really middle of the table bouts are what we're looking at. Impunity versus MFT is going to be an interesting one. And someone has to win between Sem9 and Hurricane Gaming. So at least we can welcome, someone getting on the board today.
That's true. That's true, my dude. Both 0-4. You're right. Somebody has to take it away. I'm also looking forward to CFO versus J-Team. You know, J-Team's a team I've watched from the comfort of my own home when, you know, they've been on the world stage. I know the roster's changed quite a bit. We get to see the J-Team Avenger team starting us off, though, against Sem9. And, Clement, you made a comment, I think it was in the first week, that DCG, 4 out of 5 players previously come from J Team. It feels like a very strong identity for this team that's classing out with their experience that gives like another J Team into the league.
Yeah, there's just so many J-Team clones right now. I think CFO is another good candidate for one. They have Mission and they have Rest that both came from J-Team as well. So I think it's prop to the organization for really finding all these talents that have made a stand in the lead. But talking about our first matchup, D-Cross Gaming versus Sem9, it's so exciting right now because we saw finally yesterday that Deep Cross Gaming can play a different style. You know, if you ban out the Bard, they do have a more standard plan as well. And it's just so difficult to draft against them because coming in from the red side, you not only have to take away the Bard, you're probably also thinking about the Zeri that Kriskata has gotten twice now, and the Vigar is going to be lurking there as well. So I think it's a very tall order for Sem9 to win this draft.
Because I think this team's drafting is one of the most exciting, not just in the league, but in the world. This is why I come from the LPL and I say that PCS right now is supporting some really fun drafting mechanics. I like that you bring up the Heimerdinger to start us off because that, as a response here as we look at Deep Cross Gaming's roster, was such a good, I guess, counter blow, Clement, as you were telling me in rehearsal.
Yeah, they have all these different strategies that they are going to run. You know, Hana and Nestia, I think, are really the core of this team. They used to be known for this kind of supportive style where they roam to their bot lane and top lane. And this split, they're doing much of the same thing. They have this roaming hit squad, and they like to go bottom to prop up Kriskata. Kriskata has been, I think, a real gem this split because of his damage numbers. We saw a great performance once again on the Zeri. I guarantee you everyone's just going to ban that champion. He's not going to get it this time around. But I still expect him to give very good performances, and he still is the DPM king of the PCS right now.
It's funny because when I was looking at this team, I looked at Chris Carter and I'm like, well, this is one person we're probably not going to be talking about, but it does look like this team puts the resources down towards the bottom lane. You talk about the hit squad coming through as well. Also want to point out that we've seen some fun drafts coming out of Leaky too. Renekton, Tryndamere, Gangplank, 3 champions that have a lot of aggression, a side lane threat plus global presence if we're talking about the GP in the mix.
And it's really interesting because if you think about Leaky as a top laner, I don't think that really fits the bill. A lot of the times what he's doing is he's actually starting in the mid lane. So when you look at these Renekton and you look at this Tryndamere, they're essentially bruisers going up against mages, and they can leave lane whenever they want to. You can't really chase someone like a Tryndamere or a Renekton through the river brushes. So Leaky does get that priority to then join Hana and just go on the bot lane dive.
I wonder how it's going to play out here because, again, looking for those Zeri bans. Maybe the Bard bans come through. Sem9, they would have done their homework. You can see on the other side of the Rift, 0-2 at the moment. Now, they didn't play in the first week. That's why they're a bit behind in games. But, Clement, what we saw from Sem9 was they kind of got blasted by CFO. A quick game done and dusted. Against PSG as well, I think even quicker.
Yeah, we could tell that this team really wants to get things done early. They were running strong junglers and assassins like Zoe and LeBlanc coming in from Lazar in the mid lane. However, you know, to their credit, the games did go very fast, just not in their favor. So I think today is the question to see if they were just drafting that way because PSG and CFO were kind of top of the ladder teams, or are they going to play something more standard this time around against DCG?
Yeah, draft will be a big question coming into this one. Further down the rabbit hole here of Sem9 as they go into their third game. Let's talk a little bit about their drafts. You know, the Zoes, the LeBlancs, the Jins, Caitlins. I'm seeing a lot of pick potential here with how they want to build up that early game. And as you talked about, it hasn't net them a bit of a positive. Minus 7,645 gold on average, down at 15 minutes, Clement. It's a huge stat, a huge blow against them. And today we're going to see if they change away from that direction. Otherwise, another win going over to DCG.
Yeah, but first off, we have to take a look at the junglers right here. I think Hana has been the biggest benefactor of the pinch draft that DCG throws on their opponents, because if you're banning out Zeri, you're banning out Bard, well, Hana gets first pick. He gets to play whatever he wants to, and we've seen a lot of Zinzaos just come out there. So he's always in a super strong position against his opponent. Well, I think a lot more is asked out of Arashi. He's probably the best player on Sem9, the main initiator. He also has to carry a large part of the damage. So I feel like Hana just has a much easier job in this matchup because kind of a more limited role that he has to achieve.
Yeah, and with those picks as well, look, Easy to control here on things like Zinzao, the Diana too. Going into pick and ban, folks, remember, still 12.3. Clement, I've been over on 12.2, man. Like, this patch, what are you noticing of the difference? What's happening at 12.3?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is our complete absence of Corki. Like, Corki is still 60% in major regions, but we have not seen a Corki pick so far in the PCS. So that's kind of a, sign of things to come, maybe. Looking at the draft this game, though, a big thing right off the bat is the Bard is actually left open.
It is.
Ooh, so Sem9 could be trying to counter, fight fire with fire, and have DCG get a taste of their own medicine.
I wonder, though, can they pilot something like this against Nesty? It would be hilarious. But Sem9 going back into the comfort range. We talked about Arashi being a core focus. He returns to the Lee Sin here for their third game of the PCS.
Yeah, I think Lee Sin's probably his best champion, and a champion that can really do it all. You can take 1v1s early, and you can initiate for the team when it needs to. We saw some great Arashi play in day one, where he stole a Baron, he was able to get kills onto Atlan, despite his team being down over 10,000 gold. So Arashi really was the MVP and the highlight for that game, but we'll see if they can pull off the same thing with that Bard, with that Leona pickup, sorry. It doesn't look like Sem9 are gonna try and deny the Bard strategy whatsoever. And if I'm Deep Cross Gaming, I'm just gonna run it again.
Of course you are, because, what's the response? If it's left open and available, rinse and repeat. You've said on many broadcasts before, Clement, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Hana returns to another comfort as well. That's his third Diana game. Remember, 100% win rate, of course, is what you expect with a 3-0 team, but a 27 KDA on the pick. Alongside the Tryndamere as well, Clement, a bottom lane 80 carry, the S tier left open available now that Jinx, Zarya taken away. Look no further than the Aphelios.
Yeah, this is very standard drafting coming out from DCG, and I really like the setup picks between Diana and Aphelios, kind of the Moonman combo, I call them, is because you can switch up your game plan to going dive heavy, especially with the Tryndamere, or you can just use Moonfall as kind of a crowd control and counter engage. So it really opens up your comp to play both ways, and this is a very standard draft that we've seen from other teams as well, like J-Team. On the other side for Sem9, also a very similar draft. This is basically gotta go fast type of composition. There's a lot of early game focus. So far, no AP damage whatsoever. And I guess, day one from Sem9 was actually their true colors. This is how they want to play and how they want to tackle the meta.
And despite falling down, having those really quick games against them where the early game comes crashing down, there's nothing that results out of it. They want to continue trying to play it. So we get very similar picks here for Sem9 on their third game. We have to see how it changes though, Clement, because things like the Bard we talked about for DCG still up and available. Sem9 not looking at banning it away at all. Instead, making sure that bottom lane is a little less comfort with other great picks like the Thresh taken away. I see Nautilus as a top tier pick. Clement, I don't know if the PCS is looking at it the same way.
For sure. Nautilus, we have had so many good Nautilus plays, especially from day one here. I think they're just going to take it out, most likely. There aren't that many. Oh, okay. This is kind of an interesting one. Woody has been a little bit of a Rakan connoisseur, but we haven't really seen it this split just yet. So kind of interesting there. But I like the DCG, bans coming out right here. We've talked about how to counter this Nesty strategy, and we think the best answer is actually to just fight them 2v2 in the mid lane. So if you're taking away these assassins, it does give a little bit more difficult of a time for Lazar to kind of limit the 2v2 potential here. So interesting enough, Lazar is still going to go for early aggressive champions like the Syndra, and this potentially will be an answer to someone like Nesty and Leaky just leaving lane.
I mean, that's great. A strong 2v2, look no further than Lee Sin, Syndra, how it partners up. It does mean on the other side, DCG get their supporters. Leona was already picked, and they're hovering some pretty crazy things here. Now, from what I've seen of this team, I don't know what to expect out of left field. We need a mid laner, but then again, Leaky has been playing mid. So what is Nesty going to pull out? What is the other solo laner going to pull out? Clement, Bard's still there. Yasuo, Diana? I can feel it.
Oh, this is so fun to watch.
It's the Bard!
Yeah.
The Bard, who cares? We're baited. Perfect bait.
So in terms of this game, sometimes when you're running the Diana, you want to go for something a little bit different because Diana doesn't really have the same tower diving potential, or it does come in a little bit later. But I guess, like we said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're still going for the Bard. We've seen how this usually plays out. We have Nesty going to start in the top lane with the Smite, and then Leaky coming down into the mid lane. And, after the first cannon minion, then we're going to have the 4-man roaming squad down into the bottom side of the map. So, Sem9, they must have known this. We're going to see if they actually have a counter here prepared.
Oh my god.
One of the big things about Sem9's comp is they actually have Graves, which is pretty good at punishing top laner who leaves lane. Like we saw yesterday from Frank Esports that if you don't get those assists, if you can't find those kills, then the enemy top laner who is good at stripping tower plates can run away with the game.
So my understanding of this, Clement, from what I've seen in the replays, from what I've seen in the games where Nesty pulling this out a third time, still not being punished, is that we treat this like the Janna. Move away from the lane as you talked about, giving assistance. And that's why I like that Sem9 here pulling out the Graves. We know that Hullbreaker Graves has been seen quite a lot with the buffs in the item. So being able to push down the waves, the way to counter that roaming Janna has always been win your lane and side lane to all hell.
Yeah, and the other big part about Deep Cross Gaming's game plan is really about the bot lane, because if they can push that in, well, the enemy bottom lane has to be there. So you have a lot more targets to select, and it's much easier to kind of get assists if you know where the enemy team is going to be. And that's going to be the big question here between the Aphelios and the Jhin here coming out from ClayX is, can they actually shove that bottom lane in? And the other big thing we're going to be looking at is whether Tryndamere can actually leave lane when there's a Lee Sin and Syndra. I feel like it's going to be very difficult this time around for Leaky to actually be joining Bard and doing things.
I'm excited for the pre-6 in that respect, Clement. Syndra, Lee Sin coming through. A really good 2v2. Sem9 sitting at 0-2 as they return to the PCS here in week number 2. And in our second day, we want to see if they can finally get their first win, folks, because DCG, the third time in a row that they're pulling out Bard, that's not mid, that has Smite. The roaming support that once was, now returning to Summoner's Rift. Clement, DCG going for a bit of an evade to kick us off. And I'm curious because this is my first time casting PCS. I love that I get this from DCG. I was excited about casting this team as Magical Journey takes first. Arashi not expecting it as his Ignite goes down. First blood to the Tryndamere. That's how you cheese it.
Oh, and Sem9 were in perfect position as well. You can see Shiromine was holding his ground on the topside try. So theoretically, there should be no way that 4 people could just emerge from behind the brush there. I don't even blame Arashi for that. You just never see that play being done.
That's amazing. And again, Leaky gets first blood. The Tryndamere who's going to be lane swapping, going towards the mid lane. A perfect start here for DCG, and we're going to give it an action replay, Clement, as this 5-head play comes forth.
Absolutely crazy. You never see Bards take Magical Journeys level 1, and if you look at the map, Graves is in position to intercept that, so I don't even blame Arashi. You know, there was really very, very low of a chance that there would be that many people in the brush.
I mean, it's an innovative play, and because of it as well, not only the kill, but Deep Vision gets placed down by DCG, so there'll be some good red tracking here as Hana's starting on the blue side of the map and working his way down. So, information gain, a first blood again over to the Tryndamere. So, a dagger start here, while Nesty just goes up to his top side with the support item. Clement, again, walk me through how early do we start seeing the roaming here? Is it just like Janna, you hit the first wave, you move across, and you straight away go to another one?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. We have seen Bard leave the lane after securing the first cannon minion. This really does allow him to go for boots as well, and he will start roaming across the map after that. And, you know, just taking a look at the jungle position, this is also very favorable for DCG because they do have Diana pathing towards the bottom lane, which would help them shove, as we have a bit of a scuffle in the bot side. Looks like nothing major will happen, though.
No, it's just a dredge line that goes out. Again, the trading back and forth. Fleet footwork on ClayX is worth mentioning too, so a bit of sustain added in. Lazar even dropping a ward, trying to spot out where Hana's going with his pathing. So I like this here from the mid laner. We did talk a lot about Sem9 needing this 2v2 to be successful, considering they're going up against a Tryndamere that is going to be controlling sides and start moving alongside this Bard.
Yeah, and a couple of big things that we want to really monitor about this setup is, can Arashi kind of limit the potential for Leaky and Nesty to make it towards the bottom side of the map? Now we see the transition from Bard. You know, they secure the first cannon minion, and they will just go with the boots to go towards the bottom side of the map right off that. But as we can see here, this is actually a very dangerous position for Sem9's bottom side. There's Diana, and there's also Bard moving into position here. So we'll see right now if Sem9 are aware of the strategy, and can they avoid the jungler.
Nice little trap here. That'll spot out Hana as well in the transition as the ward does the same. So ClayX and Felia are just pivoting backwards. But as that trap disappears, the vision, I believe, shared. I'm not sure if Nesty got spotted out there because I think Woody, as he walked over the trap, he did share the vision, but doesn't matter. Magical Journey over to Felia. This should be a flash as Hana's going to come back in. Good Cosmic Binding, the dredge line. A bit late, but you get the flash from the enemy support.
Yeah, flash for flash, and this is okay for Nesty because he's roaming all the time. It's actually very difficult to kind of tag him down, and there he goes again.
Yeah, he's walking right into mid. There's no mana here. Flash again. In 15 seconds, Clement, Nesty gets double summoners.
Yeah, and that was a little bit greedy from Lazar. He clearly knew that the Bard was going to be heading towards the mid lane, was not in position to dodge away from that one, and, you know, this is kind of what we've been seeing. Everyone's welcoming Lazar to the PCS. This is his first competitive debut, and so far it's been really, really rough. He's been down by 850 gold, and Arashi's getting some.
Yeah, he's going to get stunned down. Another good Cosmic Binding coming through from Nesty. And DCG, this trio is bullying out. It's a good Sonic Wave to connect, but a root from PlayX means nothing is over the wall. A nice magical journey. Leaky's joined on in. Felia with the Zenith Blade is on the left. Look, Woody wants to continue the fight. A flash from Leaky gets the kill onto Felia. And DCG playing with their food. Come at me, they say, to Sem9.
And this was so disgusting to see. A 4v4 happening right here, and Aphelios doesn't even really join the fight at all, you know. Top lane's completely empty. I think Sem9 got a little bit careless there. They did not factor in the magical journey whatsoever, and they were still in position for the catch. Great Cosmic Binding once again. This is the thing that really makes Nesty stand out compared to some of the other Smite tops that we have seen in the PCS so far, is that he is so good with his skill shots. You look at this fight over here, and he lands 2 of the Cosmic Bindings. Great CC portioning by Woody. They go on both sides and they secure 2 kills at the same time.
Again, it's that peace of mind, that extra layer with Woody going towards the left and locking down Lazar as well. 3 quick kills in the first 5 minutes of this game. DCG are ahead by 2,000 gold again, and we talked about Sem9 and their entrance into the PCS, Clement. They were down 7,500 gold on average at 15 minutes of the game, I believe it was. So it's been another rough entrance into this game, and this roaming Bard that wasn't banned out, that was even hovered in disrespect by Sem9, is once again taking control of the early game.
I just want to... Oh my god, Leaky, come on. It's Lazar's new! Don't do that to him. I just want to correct the stats a little bit because I'm kind of a stats guy, but it was 7,000 gold deficit at the end of the game. Like, it would be really hard to lose 7,000 gold at 10 minutes. Like,
I was going to say, because Game of Legends might have screwed me around a bit then. But yeah, no, thank you for correcting that. Important stat to note. Still, I mean, it does start at the early game, stats or no stats. We know that the early game for Sem9 is what's been running away.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it does come from mid lane. We have seen Lazar. I think it's just, you know, being new to competitive has been not risk averse enough. I think I'll just put it that way. He has put himself in rather bad situations. But now this is the interesting part of the game where you do see the Graves, like we were mentioning, going directly for the Hull Breaker and pushing the top tower down. Once he's able to get that one down, then he can actually equalize the map by then roaming towards the bot side himself. So Deep Grass Gaming are kind of on a little bit of a timer right here, where this sort of roam around the enemy jungle is only going to last so long.
I'm just wondering, though, if S9 are going to give anything else. Hana now hits level 6 as well, so the Moonfall will be coming down from this Diana jungle, and even a dive at the ready. I mean, S9 have walked into this with another magical journey coming through. Felia there, the ultimate missing from Chris Carter, but still a good Cosmic Binding, a dredge line follow-up. Hana's in, a 2-man Moon that has fallen to the pit. Leaky as well with the slow and down motion, and PlayX now on the run, the level 4 Jhin. Nowhere to go, no summoners available. And even though Sem9's top laner Shurimind gets the top lane turret, I think bot's soon to fall here for DCG.
Yeah, again, it was great target focus coming in from DCG. They target out Felia, who doesn't have the flash, and the tower diving mechanics were great there as well. We saw Hana staying around, taking those extra turret shots, and allowing Leaky to kind of chase everyone down. So very well done on the side for DCG. Honestly, I don't think their plan has been disrupted at all. Like, we've seen 3 games in a row where Nesty is just getting maximum value out of these Bard roams early. And unfortunately for Lazar, I think because he lost his flash so early in the game, we haven't been able to see that kind of Syndra Lee Sin domination that usually happens when these two are paired together.
The thing we wanted to see so badly, right? Arashi and Lazar linking up in that 2v2. I think importantly enough as well, Clement, Arashi hasn't really had time to jungle with 3-4 people in his blue side at 4 minutes in the game. So it's been really rough. It's been really elevated here for DCG as they pick up the Herald on top of the Dragon they got before. Gold lead may have shrunk a little bit with the top lane turret going down, but it's still DCG's game to lose at this point so early on. A really good sign when we were talking about how DCG have been playing the games at the start of today.
Yeah, I think DCG have got this strategy down to a T. I'm really excited to see who can actually stand up and challenge them. Like, looking at their games so far, they really haven't faced like a top-level mid-jungle that can kind of clamp down on this strategy. And, you know, just talking a little bit about the lane allocation, there's a lot to like here. They have the Tryndamere in the long side lane where, you know, with his Undying Rage, you really can't send a mage against him to push out. I doubt they can even find the kill here with Leaky having his ult and his summoner up, but they're going to try.
Well, Sonic Wave is a bit short, and Arashi not connecting. That means everyone backs off. Even ClayX was making his way up there. So for now, S9 back away, and you're right, lane allocation from DCG needs to be highlighted here. A Noon Quiver and a Pickaxe as well means it's going to be even harder to deal with Leaky. And I was going to ask you a little bit about this Hullbreaker Graves, a condition for Sem 9 that is so important, as I'm not sure if this actually might turn into a dive. Clement, it might not matter.
Well, he still gets the extra resistance from Hullbreaker, so...
But DCG are ahead, and the problem is, with the Ignite down, Woody doesn't die. Kriskata gets the kill, and that turret plating is absolutely free with the Herald by their side.
Yeah, I feel like this play really stemmed from the show top lane where they had Arashi and Philia kind of showing in vision. That was not really a play that would have worked anyway, so they kind of left Shiromine out to dry. Very kind of surprised that he still used his Ghost in that scenario. But honestly, not much he could do right there. I think he was just left out to dry.
Yeah, it's hard at this point as well, right? It's a 3k gold lead. It's only 10 minutes into the game. And I was going to ask you about how this Hullbreaker Graves now comes in. You said that DCG were on a timer, but every time this play goes down successfully, that timer gets extended. The game continues being more and more comfortable. We're getting burst mythics way before anyone from Sem 9 bar that Hullbreaker, excuse me. So it's really hard to say anything good right now. As Clay even caught out with the Gravitum. Dredge line as well. The damage comes through. That is a 50 CS difference that keeps showing its face out of the
That was too damn easy for Kriskata. You know, he just walks up and doesn't even have to use anything special. I guess ClayX was just kind of surprised that he had the Gale Force at 11 minutes into the game. So we're just caught off completely off guard right there. And I think with the Graves, this is the problem. Even with the Hullbreaker, it's not apparent that he's going to be able to win the 1v1 versus Leaky. He's just trying to to kind of swap sides at this point, but DCG have more people to throw at him.
They do, but Moonfall in the bottom lane's got to divert the attention. On the way is Nesty here with the Bard, and with the Hullbreaker, it's saving his life, but Shiromine has to flash away. Now no summon is available. Arashi dealing with Woody on the side, but with a beautiful little binding from Nesty. Down goes the solo laner of Sem 9. Arashi can't deal with Woody, and there's just not a break in this game that Sem 9 can get.
Yeah, we don't really have any isolated 2v2s, which were what Sem 9 was originally drafting for. Instead, they're trying to scrabble across the map. Great kick!
I think Flash, but the ultimate comes through and gets everyone in stasis. Kriskata should die as he gets out though, but the ulti comes through. He game forces away, but to his death. Leaky here with the ultimate. Meanwhile, wants to take down the rest of the team. Onto Arashi. A double kill at the ready. Dredge line from Woody, beautiful. And just as Sem 9 make a gorgeous play again, we got to praise DCG.
Nesty is just too damn good. He saves his AD carry, allows Kriskata to get the execution on the Gale Force, and burns so many more abilities than they should have used from Sem 9's part. Again, we see another Cosmic Binding. This absolutely gorgeous play from Nesty, and this is why I think most teams should just ban Bard. Like, don't let him get Bard. It's just too annoying to deal with right here. As we see Kriskata, you know, Flash was a little bit unnecessary, but he does get saved by the Tempered's Fate. Leaky is able to get all of his damage down with the Undying Rage right here, and very unfortunately, Arashi just runs straight into a Dredge line before he can finish off the Tryndamere. It's a clean wipe from Deep Cross Gaming. It looks like another 23-minute game, unfortunately, for Sem 9.
Oh man, it's so rough here. Clement, 5,000 gold lead at 13 minutes. Double Dragon down. DCG will have the next Herald coming up in a minute 15. And folks, to open up your PCS day, there is nothing like seeing a team smack down on their opponents. Again, you said it yourself. The Bard was looked at in draft, and Sem9 thought they could deal with it. They thought this Graves was the answer with Hullbreaker. But Clement, it just did so much work, and they didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I think there was a few things that really went wrong with the early game, especially the bot lane wave position. I think they were a little bit surprised that Deep Cross Gaming was actually going to pull the wave to that direction. And unfortunately for Sem9, the pathing for Marashi was towards the top side. So they had no support right there. They were caught off guard. Felia gets a flash burn, and then Lazar also gets a flash burn as well from the mid lane. I think that really broke the gates wide open. You know, we have seen top smite fail because the support roam doesn't find any assists, no kills going on. But in this time, because Nesty got 2 flashes on the first roam, the following skirmishes were just a little bit too easy for Deep Cross.
I mean, I love the portal placements in the early game. The blue side play as well, wrapping back around. Even the first blood that sets Arashi behind. All comes here from Nesty's pick, and yeah, we'll have to talk more about that because the game feels like it's done, folks. So let's be real with it. It's 6K, almost 6,500 in the lead. And Arashi stunned up again. Look at this magical journey. A depth charge onto the jungler. Felia's going to get knocked up and enables the 2-man moonfall. As he goes golden, his death is inevitable. 2 more kills, 12-1. And Clement, I came in today to watch a butcher do his dirty work.
Yeah, Nesty is that butcher right here. Not even allowing Jhin to clear the wave here. So, just rubbing that salt on the injury, just making sure all of those grains get rubbed directly into the wound here. It's kind of painful to watch. The question really now is, can Sem9 actually drag this game on long enough?
Kind of painful. I'm going to apologize. You cut out on my end, but that's okay. At this point in the game, remember, folks, that we got another Herald up as well, and DCG hitting towards the 2-item point. And so, Clement, now I'm going to ask you, the S9, did they just put all hope in the Graves? We've got a 2-item Graves from the sideline who is actually taking down turrets, so that's the one piece of excitement I can offer.
Yeah, I think the Graves has to be the one to carry everything right now. The only shining spot on the team is because he has a lot of gold, and he's the only one packing damage right now. So
actually cut out or not?
I
keep on going.
I can still hear you.
Like everything is okay. Maybe it was time for a solo cast. Maybe it's me in the end. But I still got a feed here. It could be Clement Chu. Who knows? Maybe he didn't want to cast. Maybe he just didn't want to cast with me. I'm going to find out on my end as well. And we'll see what's going on. My headphones are still working. Oh, you're back, Clement!
Yeah,
Let's go!
I think I was here the entire time. We are connecting from Australia here, so there might be some, like, lag coming in
it's
from both
my
sides.
it's Australia's fault. Okay, dude. Alright, that's alright. You know, the problem is, you don't speak my language.
That's true. Your language is like a mix of wombat and emu, so it's very difficult to learn, you know?
Do you know?
I'll try to pick it up.
You know, we lost a war against the emus. Like, true story.
Have you seen emus? They're very tough raptors. But coming back into this game,
welcome back.
Yeah, we do have the Herald drop right here. I just want to make sure that we're still on the same timer. I'm going into 17 minutes. We're seeing this like double lane push here from Deep Cross Gaming. We're good, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, we're so good.
Okay.
Good in both audio, good in both how the game's being played as well. And you know, I asked you when you were disappearing a bit there. I was like, oh, at least Shiramine has Hullbreaker and he's got 2 items and he's able to push. But I realized Leaky's able to match that every step of the way. You talk about how the wave's set up. There's one pushing wave in the top side, but DCG putting all their eggs towards the Graves. Their pick potential continues growing, and Nesty is always looking for that next moment.
Yeah, and we have talked about this kind of double support. Oh, goodbye.
Shiramine just wanted to walk out like the idiot's bit. And it wasn't even Nesty that time. It was just harder on the way.
Oh, that's just so depressing to watch. This is going to be a free tower in the bottom side. And we want to like deep dive a little bit more about the double smite strategy. Is that you're essentially running 2 supports. So when it goes into the ultra late game, you are down essentially 1 carry. And that is when the composition kind of does fall off just a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to happen this game. I don't think Sem9 can hold on. But, you know, things to look forward to if you do.
Yeah, I think as well, like, you know, we also talked about how the draft's been running out for Sem9 holistically. Syndra, Jhin, lots of good pick potential here. So even if we don't get the late game, I always look at Sem9 as another hope of finding someone in rotation. I'm being super optimistic. You know me, Clement. I've been casting with you for a while. I'm not often optimistic.
That's true.
But I got to have something for Sem9 because, you know, I'm feeling Fulham about to run down 0-3 at the start of the league, looking towards joining the impunities, the Hurricane Gamings of the league. It's rough. That little barrier in the middle of PCS is building up, and I feel like Sem9 are going to be on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, I just have to say, I feel like Sem9 had a really bad luck of the draw here. Their first 3 games were against CFO, PSG, and now DCG. 2 of those teams are flawless, and PSG, you know, is our representative to Worlds. So they definitely have a really rough schedule to contend with, but I do have some shining hope. It's not in this game, though. Later today, they will play Hurricane Gaming, so that's your good luck right there.
That's good. Optimism's good, Clement. So, yeah, hopefully see if they can reevaluate because they don't have to deal with the roaming Bard, but I think more importantly as well, the strategy in this game was solid, right? Strong 2v2 in the mid lane, trying to get Lazar into position of comfort. Arashi, you talked about being a big focus. Even towards the top side right now, next to Hana. I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything. There's a 2-level difference and a full item difference. Yeah. So Arashi just wants to flank, but
I want to say we have seen the exact same play from Arashi. He did this yesterday where he was hiding in this brush, just waiting for the ending team to start Baron, and then he comes in from the top side behind all of the vision and steals the big purple worm. He has done this already. I think he's setting up for the same play. Unfortunately for him, though, DCG are about to finish off the base. They're not even turning towards the Baron.
They got 2 waves pushing up, the third about to crash in with Leaky on the way to it, so yeah, he's still there, but to his credit, he still hasn't backed away. So Arashi is going to continue waiting.
He's pinging the Baron.
Yeah.
He's pinging.
Still not being done. Oh, he's AFK.
You know there is an allegory in Chinese, which is that one day a farmer just saw a rabbit run into a tree and the rabbit died. So the next day and the following days, the farmer just decided not to tend to his fields, and every day he would just wait for a rabbit to run into a tree. I feel like this is what Arashi's doing.
He's been waiting for 10 days, but the problem is he going to get it in time? It's just gone! The play completely backfires. You can't get 2 in 2 days. Now with the Moonfall down, Arashi takes big chuck, not pulled back in. Dragon's Rage already used, and Hana going to cleave him for a few. Unstoppable is right. That's what DCG are. As Baron now acquired 11k gold lead and at 21 minutes in the game, all we need is a nail in the final piece of the coffin.
Oh, hats off to Arashi. I felt like the spirit was there. The intention was there. Execution was just a little bit off. But, what can I say? What can I say?
hey, that's what we're here for. We wanted all Hail Mary play from it as Sem9. And, you know, at this point now, we got Baron buff on a Tryndamere, on a roaming Bard, a Diana that's now got 10 stacks on the Magi's and a Hextech alternator. So, I don't know, in games like this, as a caster, you're always left sitting here going like, well, how does Sem9 win it? And you said ultra late game. I don't know how you survive the next 10 minutes without losing all the base.
Yeah, I really question Sem9's sort of drafting practices. They've been drafting compositions that are very, very leaning towards physical damage, and that just means they don't really have much of a late game to look towards at all. And also, Lazar has been having the most difficulty out of the 3 lanes, so that just means their magic dealer is usually not there for them in the mid game also. So I really want to see how Sem9 are going to kind of change up their strategy. I definitely think it's a possibility that they're going this extreme into the early game because of the opponents that they're facing. You know, it's one of the oldest strategies in the book. If you're going up against a team that you really can't face straight up, then you try to cheese them in the early game, build yourself a lead, and go from there.
It's either that or pure scaling, right? You're right. It was definitely a strategy of a team like Rogue Warriors. I know, I've only got so much to relate to, Clement, but Rogue Warriors felt like when they're in 2020, even 2021, they're a team that is Clay. Wow, goes Golden. Is about to get blasted as well. Nesty with the Cosmic Binding with the depth charge into the backline. That knocks up Lazar as well. Hana from the left side. A good scout of the week from Lazar to give him credit. But Hana only delays the inevitable, it feels like. Sem9 sent on the retreat path while more and more turrets fly on down. Looks like Chris Carter wants the game to end in less than 25 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that Cascada is actually playing that super patiently. You know, he still held on to both summoners, didn't go in all the way. But if you looked at that trade, that was one auto attack from the Infernum, taking Clay X down to half HP. That's just the difference in damage right now that we've seen. Maybe 7-9 can do something here, as there are 2 side lanes being pushed in, and they have a 5v3.
Well, Solar Flare's there. This is their moment as Felia goes in onto Woody, but Nessie around the side with the Cosmic Binding. Everybody's in for the party, but Chris Carter is untouched. A good kick from Marashi, but he can't finish the job as Leaky now comes in. Gale Force into the middle, and Lazar, he's just buying his window as DCG clean it all up. This one, Clement, it's going to be under 25 minutes.
Oh, another big sweep here from DCG, running their strategy once again, getting the Bard Smite top lane, and so far they have been absolutely unstoppable. The funnest team to watch in the PCS right now. You have to catch a piece of this action.
I love the drafts, I love the gameplay, I love the explosive power out of DCG. Deep Cross Gaming, they're starting off our week 2, day 2 in style, and again, in under 25 minutes, they disassemble Sem9 in our opening matchup.
This is just so fun to watch. This is what you get when a team is really, really far down the rabbit hole of their own strategy. Nobody else plays this. They knows the in and out. They know what the counters, and they know where to look for those counter measures to go for. So I think this is just a great demonstration of having a game plan in terms of their composition, in terms of how they play, and also a procedural game plan. Like what they did on level 1, absolutely brilliant. We haven't seen that before coming out from them, and it really set them up for success in the bot side, the wave management, to kind of sync up that roam from the Bard top after he got his boots. Everything was just done so well in the early game, and I feel like when you're facing a team that knows the ins and out of a strategy like this, you just don't let them get the strategy. I feel like that's the easiest way to deal with it.
There's some priority bans that need to start coming out. And again, you and I were talking in draft about the fact that there were these hovers coming through from Sem9, and they're like, well, we know you're going to play the Bard. They're being cheeky, but they never seemed to ban it away. They never wanted to ban it away. And as a final pick on blue side, there was nothing that was there as a response. I guess they thought the mid 2v2 was going to be strong enough where Leaky would fall down, the Graves would get his side lane pressure, and then everything falls into place. But unfortunately, you're right. It's the bot lane that also created problems. Every single lane in a comfortable position. And so, of course, Bard roaming is going to create more trouble on the map that it's worth to get.
And I frankly think that, I believe at least, Deep Cross Gaming actually has several more cards to play in the same sort of style. We did see the hover on Seraphine, and we also saw the ban from, I believe, the hover on Senna as well. So theoretically, both of these champions can be played in much of the same way.
Right.
And I think the interesting thing is when they go up against the top 5 of the league, if you ban Bard, are they going to still run the same strategy but with a different support champion coming in from ST?
If he wants to do it, he'll do it. And I want to know, like, I feel like the Tryndamere first pick is something we need to talk about, because locking in Tryndamere first pick, there are a couple of things that have been dealing with Janna tops, right? Really strong split pushers like Tryndamere, Graves with Hullbreaker in certain instances. Clement, am I missing anything else? Anything else that has strong side lane threat that you think is like a good response to either the Bard, the Janna, the roaming support?
I'll be honest, I actually really like a Trundle top lane or something.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Towers so damn fast. Like, your Q can actually go through towers, so you actually get like a double hit, and you build Triforce too. So with the Sheen proc, it's very, very damaging. There are a number of picks. I feel like you can go for them if you want to, but there has been generally two different ideas on how you counter this strategy from the top side pick. Either you go for a very fast tower take with the Hullbreaker, or you go with, or you just mash roam. We have seen that from Frankie Sports, where they just kind of played a Gragas that just built support item and roam towards the bottom side as well. But so far, none of it has been completely successful, and I think the big thing is you still have to have someone to limit Leaky. That has been part of the puzzle that has not been dealt with against Deep Cross Gaming.
That's right. Again, 4 games straight now where we've just seen amazing drafts coming through. We don't get Bard one game, Clement, doesn't matter. We get the Heimerdinger instead. This is one of the most entertaining teams to watch in the world right now. And as I was doing my PCS research, I was so excited to cast this team, and I'm glad we got to start it off with such a simple game of domination. In under 25 minutes, Clement, look at the gold graph. Simple as that, and yep, Nesty gets MVP. What a surprise.
There is absolutely no surprise in this one. If you can play Bard to this degree, you just deserve the MVP every single game. A flawless KDA as well, to boot. Like, no deaths whatsoever. I really want to see, like, when are we going to see Nesty actually play just like a standard mid laner? I don't even think Vygar really counts as a standard mid laner. I want to see him back on something like Rise or Orianna. Like, how deep into the season do we have to go to see him just play a normal mage?
That's right. There's a lot of questions I want to ask this man. I also want to point out honorable mentions coming through as well. I think Hana had a really good game, Clement. And I think we're going to be saying that about everyone because of how the Bard enables the team. The biggest thing I want to say is that Deep Cross Gaming, to pull off something like this, to be that clinical with a roaming support top, requires a really deep bond throughout the team. And even with the fresh face in Chris Carter, Deep Cross Gaming, I think, are one of the most put-together organizations at the moment.
Yeah, and from a coaching perspective, the hardest thing about running a strategy like this is you have to sink so much time into one strat, and you only have such a limited time to script. So most teams in the world cannot do this. They don't do this because they basically have to pick and choose what strategies they do, and what you learn from this strategy is not applicable to any other strategy. So
that's right.
I really want to know how deep this rabbit hole goes, and if I'm guessing, I'm pretty willing to bet that Deep Cross Gaming has multiple top laners that they can play in the same fashion.
Oh, yeah, that's actually another good point as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a short break. When we return, you're not going to get the same mojo that we got from Deep Cross Gaming, but J-Team versus CDBC Flying Oyster. That's coming up next.